Okay, this Susan Lee Elliott attorney that would not leave the Schaeffer Cox case, even though Schaeffer Cox asked her to get off his case because they had conflict of interest. She called him delusional and had a psych eval done on him. It's just absurd. The more I learn about this case, the more horrific it is. I mean, just when I think it couldn't get any worse, it gets more horrific. And I came across this article while trying to do some research on Miss Suzanne Lee Elliott that thinks anybody who believes in the Second Amendment is delusional. I mean, it's just insane. Here's the article. It's Crime and Justice at a website called adn.com. I don't know what adn.com is, but they wrote an article about it, so let's read it together. Attorney seeks evaluation for delusional Schaeffer Cox. The author is Dermot Cole. It was updated December 26 of 2013. Fairbanks. A lawyer representing Schaeffer Cox says the former leader of a small Fairbanks militia is mentally ill and will eventually reject the advice of any new counsel if counsel does not fully accept Mr. Cox's delusions as true. Cox, who is jailed in a federal penitentiary in Illinois and serving a 26-year sentence for conspiracy to commit murder and weapons violations, is trying to fire attorney Suzanne Lee Elliott. The 29-year-old Cox claims he needs a new court-appointed lawyer because Elliott does not want to rock the boat or challenge the government as part of his appeal before the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Cox asked that Robert John of Fairbanks be named to replace Elliott and pursue his allegations that government corruption is the source of Cox's legal troubles. Wow. Elliott, who is from Seattle, filed court papers last week saying Cox is motivated by his mental illness. Wow. Which prevents him from acting in his own best interest in this appeal. She said a lengthy statement Cox filed with the court December 11th is simply an outgrowth of the delusions of Mr. Cox testified to at trial. Cox said he is a victim of a government conspiracy. He is preoccupied with the notion that the government targeted him for death with what she referred to as a phantom hit squad because of his political beliefs, Elliott said. Hey, it's not a phantom hit squad when you got a Hell's Angel, government informant, and a sodomite lover threatening your life and sticking knives to people's necks, saying they're going to cut you and bleed you out. The article goes on. As soon as his counsel challenges these perceptions, he rejects counsel's advice and becomes convinced the counsel has become part of the plot against him, she wrote. Elliott filed a request clarifying an earlier statement filed under seal about her reasons for wanting a competency hearing. Any new counsel will soon be falsely accused of refusing to rock the boat. This is why it is so important to determine Mr. Cox's competency now, she said. She challenged the letters in which Cox claimed he faked mental illness at sentencing in the hope of not getting a life sentence. First, she said he received 2 diagnostic tests to determine his mental state. Second, and most telling, he told the evaluator precisely the same set of facts he has asserted on the covert audio tapes and that he testified to at trial. She said the government agents who sought to kill him. The evaluator said that in listening to Mr. Cox, it was clear that he was unable to distinguish between fact and fantasy. Elliott wrote, The analyst said that despite having been in jail for more than a year, Cox did not grasp the concerns that had been presented in his case. In short, Mr. Cox feigned nothing at his evaluation. He simply revealed the same delusional thinking that he has been exhibiting since at least 2010. She said that there is some reason to hope that once Cox is diagnosed and treated, he will be able to assist in his appeal. His most recent pleading demonstrates that his current incompetency will negatively impact his appeal proceedings. The U.S. Attorney said the court may want to consider the request for a new attorney, but the government would oppose the request for a competency hearing. Oh my goodness. This is This is the most outrageous thing I've ever heard of in my life. And it basically means that if you support a true constitutional Second Amendment, anti-Federal Reserve, and you're against government informants coming in and wiretapping you, threatening the lives of your children, that the state-appointed attorney will claim that you're delusional and ask that you be treated. And you know what that treatment is, folks? It's a Chinese thought reform, which is basically a form of torture. And I don't use that word in an exaggerating form. It is absolutely torture, and that's what they've done to him in a communications management unit prison run by the CIA. Like I said, the more I learn about this case, the more horrific it gets. These people need to be held accountable for their wickedness, and they need to have the wrath of God come upon them.